Hey guys, Steve Jabber here with another video on city hookups. So, the question we're going to answer today, or pose today, is whether Pattaya is becoming more expensive or is there something else going on? So I've been looking around on various Reddit forums and you see a lot of complaints about the bar girls asking for more money, demanding more money for their services, and generally complaining that things are getting more expensive. But I think something else might be going on. So if you look back in the day at Pattaya and Thailand in general, the average customer was over 40 years old, Western, white, had a reasonable income, nothing amazing or flashy, but had enough income after they paid the mortgage and other costs that they could come to Pattaya or Bangkok or wherever for 1 or 2 months a year, and it wouldn't break the bank, it would be affordable. But I think what's happened now, if you fast forward to today, 2026, things are very different. Housing costs have gone through the roof. Wages have not stagnated, but haven't kept up with inflation, and things are just generally more expensive. So whereas before guys from the West were the average customer, things are different now. You only have to go to Pattaya now and look around to see the amount of Indians, and there's Russians and Chinese. The demographics have changed. And there's a reason for that, because the West got a whole lot more expensive. So before it was reasonable to fund 1 or 2 months a year in Pattaya, and you could do that, but nowadays, even with just the flights alone, a guy looks at that and thinks, well, this is not a cheap holiday anymore. In fact, I'm not even sure I can afford 1 month a year, never mind 2. And whilst the cost in Pattaya itself have gone up, the reason for that is, I think, is because it's adapting to the changing demographics and the people that come because of the living costs in the West, because they've exploded, and the average customer is different. The whole market for bar girls has had to change. So whereas before they could kind of milk a Western guy for 1 or 2 months, like a long-term kind of arrangement, now they have to cater for short-term guys more from different countries that maybe don't have as much money as the Western guys back in the day, like Indians and so on. And so because of that, they hustle more, they pressure more, and they demand more because they know they're not going to get a long-term sort of arrangement. So they have to charge more per hour and so on. If you think about Indians, what are they famous for? Well, haggling and trying to get the price down and trying to be frank, rip people off and maybe scam a little bit. So the girls are adapting to that and changing the way that they operate. And the whole business in Pattaya, Bangkok and Thailand is having to adapt and change to this as well. So what I'd notice is when you actually arrive in Pattaya, you think to yourself, well, it's not too expensive. I mean, compared to 20 years ago, yes, it's gone up, but not horrendously. But it's just that everything else around it has got more expensive, so you can't even afford that anymore. Maybe you can afford 2 weeks rather than 2 months. And like I say, because of that, the market's changed and it appears more expensive, because the girls have to hustle in a different way. And also this ties into, I've seen guys saying that the whole experience is a lot more unpleasant now, and the girls are more avaricious. They're more money orientated. Well, they have to be, because the customer is different. They have to hustle more, do it quicker, and they haven't got the luxury of a sort of long-term 1 to 2, even 6, 12-month arrangement anymore. Now, that's just my theory. What do you think? City Hookups actually has a subreddit now, and I've put this post up and we're getting some responses about it to see whether Pattaya is actually getting more expensive and what other people think. So if you're interested in this and you want to come along and have a chat and bond with other people about life in Pattaya and meeting women all over the world, use the link in the description below and you can join the City Hookups subreddit and actually get involved in this discussion about costs in Pattaya.